In this video tutorial, we will discuss how to commission a VIDAR unit for PID control using an analog input or reference signal. With any installation comes variety, so visit our website to download our installation, operation, and maintenance guide before you get started. Let's go over what you will need. The most obvious is your VIDAR unit. Then you will need your 3 phases of line power and 1 ground wire. These wire gauge specifications can be found in the IOM manual. No matter the control strategy, you should also have a VIDAR keypad, which works for any model and is Class 1 Division 2 certified. Now for the tools. You will need an electrician's screwdriver, a calibrated torque wrench, a Phillips screwdriver with a magnetized head, Allen key wrenches, and a crescent wrench. You will also need a transmitter capable of one of the following signal types, which uses 24 to 18 gauge twisted pairs. You may use VIDAR's built-in 24 volts as the transmitter's power supply as long as the current draw is under 200 milliamps. There are many possibilities for what can be controlled, but these are some common examples. First, let's start with how to connect the main power conductors. We will not be discussing electrical setups upstream of the unit such as fusing, disconnects, conduit, circuit breakers, etc. Those should always be performed by a qualified electrician and meet all applicable standards and regulations. Please reference the IOM for electrical requirements upstream. With your unit secured in place and power turned off, step 1 is to land or terminate 3 phases of line power and a ground. To access the mains terminals, use a hex head torque wrench or a Phillips screwdriver to remove the high voltage cover. If your unit has an F1 or F2 conduit box, there will be 4 flying leads inside labeled L1, L2, L3, and G to connect to. Before fastening leads, verify what type of utility service is present. If it is an asymmetric or floating ground system, we must remove the RFI screw later on. With the proper protective equipment on and power off, begin to fasten main power leads to the unit. Unlike a standard induction motor, you do not have to sequence the incoming phases in order. The direction of rotation will always be counterclockwise from the drive end until digitally changed. We recommend using UL-listed ring lugs with heat shrink over the live part of the conductor. Shown here is the standard F3 terminal box configuration, so power can come through either the left or right side conduit openings. The torque specification for each frame size is shown here as well as in our IOM. Use a torque wrench to verify the strength of the fastener connections. If your power system is not a floating or asymmetric ground, you may replace the terminal box cover now. If your power system is a floating or asymmetric ground, we must remove the RFI screws. Smaller frame sizes will only have 1, whereas larger frame sizes have 2. Use a Phillips magnetic head screwdriver to remove it or them underneath the silver EMI cover. Once done, go ahead and reinstall the green power cover using the torque values prescribed by the manual. As long as the power cover has been fastened back on the terminal box, we can open up the low voltage side and set up our control wiring. The ACB can be broken up into 7 sections, namely the keypad dongle, stator RTD slots, STO or save torque off, digital inputs, analog inputs and outputs, relay outputs, and the Ethernet cable connector. For transmitter or PID control, we can focus on these sections for now. In addition, there are 5 open NPT fittings for routing control cables to the board. There are a few different options at hand for how to signal the start command. You may start using the keypad or upon power up, or through a 2-wire start-stop button or a 3-wire version or a DCS command, and more. We will go over these 3 options to ready the unit. Heads up, you can always tell when VIDAR is ready to go when the green LED is blinking. Contactor mode means VIDAR starts upon power up. Any digital input can be used for this, but the best is MI1. Use between an 18 to 24 gauge wire to connect MI1 to a common multi-use terminal, then fasten each terminal using an electrician's screwdriver. For a 2-wire start-stop trigger, it's the exact same wiring setup as contactor mode, except instead of a jumper cable, we use a switch. Any digital input may be used, but we advise MI1. For 3-wire, we use 2 digital inputs and 2 switches. Later on, we'll discuss how to tell VIDAR which method we are using. This video shows how to wire up the 2-wire start-stop switch. If it had been for a 3-wire, the red wire would be installed in the next open digital input terminal of MI2. The switch apparatus used in the video has only one wire for the common, so if you have two separate switches, use two separate common terminals if you'd like. We know how to start and stop the unit, but let's illustrate how to wire up an analog transmitter and power it with VIDAR. By default, VIDAR is set up in sync mode. There are 2 analog inputs and 4 analog common terminals available in the application control board. This video shows how to wire up an analog transmitter which has its own power supply, such as a 4-wire flow transmitter. The positive lead goes to an analog input terminal and the negative goes to a common. Now in this example, we have a 2-wire discharge pressure transmitter which is to be powered by VIDAR, so we switch it to source mode to avoid cramming 2 wires into the 24-volt terminal. To get more 24-volt terminals, move around a couple jumper cables on the digital input terminal block. Connect a jumper from the DC common to the common terminal. Then we take the 24-volt terminal and jump it to a common multi-use CM terminal. All of the common multi-use terminals are now converted to 24-volt DC potentials. Here is what the pressure transmitter setup would look like now in source mode. The transmitter's negative lead goes to AI1 and the positive goes to a CM terminal. Remember, the max load must be under 200 milliamps and wire your transmitter up. Now we are ready to complete the startup wizard for autonomous operation. The startup wizard is by far the easiest way to change the most important parameters and generally consists of the same prompts. Each entry will populate other parameters for you, and those mappings are shown in our manual. Let's move ahead using pump discharge pressure as an example. With the keypad plugged in and the unit powered up, press the function button on the keypad. Scroll down to number 4, the startup wizard, and select it. Then select the startup option at the top of the list. The first question asks you what type of equipment you are driving, which assigns default acceleration and deceleration rates. Next, we want to select PID control. Now is where your chosen start-stop method comes into play. Choose your method at hand, and keep in mind if you used relay inputs other than MI1 or 2, you'll have to change some parameters after the wizard is complete. Next, we are asked about minimum and maximum speeds. This is where knowing the process, equipment limitations, and load profile come into play to avoid damaging your system. Units with a synchronous speed of 1,800 RPM will default to a minimum speed of 180 and a maximum speed of 1,770, but can go up to 2,500 RPM. Units with a synchronous speed of 3,600 RPM will default to a minimum speed of 360 and a maximum speed of 3,550, but can go up to 4,500 RPM. We recommend setting these minimums and maximums per your application and process demands. The unit will not cross these boundaries. The startup wizard now asks what type of transmitter you are using. This screen is to set the proportional gain and integral time factors of the loop control using educated guesses. These factors can always be changed later on, which we go over in a separate video. Press the Edit button to find all of the options, one of which being discharge pressure. Navigate to discharge pressure and hit Enter. Where is VIDAR to look for the analog signal? There are only 3 options here: analog input 1, 2, or from an external control system. Select the appropriate option and hit the next button. Now tell the unit what type of signal to expect out of the 3. Let's move forward with 4 to 20 milliamps as the selection. This next screen simply asks you, what are the units of measurement? In our case, it will be pounds per square inch since it's a pressure measurement, but there are a plethora of other options available. Now it's time to cross-reference your transmitter's upper and lower bounds to the ACB. The upper and lower limits entered here should correspond to the highest and lowest bounds on your measurement device. For example, from 0 to 300 pounds per square inch. The last mandatory question for PID control is, where shall VIDAR look to receive its set point? Let's say we are controlling to 250 pounds per square inch at the moment. Does it get that from the keypad, from an analog input, or from the DCS on site? By default, it is the keypad, but use the Edit and Scroll buttons to change it to one of the other options if needed. Keep in mind this is different from the feedback signal. This step is our process control set point. Pressing the next button brings up a question on the sleep function. This will be covered in another video on our YouTube channel, so we'll select No for now. After the sleep function screen, decide if you want to turn on condensation protection. Think of this as a built-in space heater which protects the motor interior from moisture buildup. This space heater only works when VIDAR has power and is not running. While enabled and the sense temperature on the stator drops below 25 degrees Celsius, VIDAR will inject DC pulse current to heat the windings up. Select yes if you're in a cold or humid environment. The next screen prompts you to check and verify the direction of rotation. Hold the jog button and the unit will spin 90 RPM in its default direction. Look at either the free end cooling fan or drive end. If it's correct, select yes. If not, select no. Then elect to change the direction of rotation. You can press jog again to visually confirm if you'd like. Congratulations! Your unit just needs to be tidied up and you are ready to roll. We recommend at a minimum to save parameters to the SD card, so hit enter. You can save it to the keypad as well if you'd like to copy and paste the parameters into an identical unit, but complete that after the SD card. You may provide a unique file name as well if you'd like. Reinstall all plugs, covers, cables, screws, etc. and couple your equipment. You may now unplug the keypad and twist on the waterproof cap. We hope this video has helped you commission your unit. As always, if you need our assistance, contact us at our website and we would be happy to assist. You can find things like our service manual, our quick start guide, our operator's manual, and more. Thanks for watching and have a great day.